Okay, this is about the Spotify boycott. You understand that Project 2025 wants to make it illegal for the kinds of small artists that you listen to continue to make their music. Nobody's asking you to sacrifice small artists. You can go find other ways to support them. Buy their music instead of streaming it on Spotify. Go show up to their shows. I don't know, donate to their Venmos, whatever. You don't have to sacrifice small artists to participate in the Spotify boycott. By the way, if y'all don't know, we're boycotting Spotify because they are running ICE recruitment ads and they don't have to do that. But this idea that sacrifices are not going to have to be made in order to stop fascism, Timothy Snyder says you either fight for freedom or you die in unfreedom. You understand that if Donald Trump and the fascists get their way, we won't have small independent musicians able to make the kind of music that they want, especially if that music criticizes the government or is deemed immoral by white Christian nationalists. We all have to make sacrifices. Now we have to voluntarily give things up right now, or far more will be forcibly taken away from us in the future. You don't have to abandon your small artists. You don't have to abandon other folks. That's why mutual aid is a key component of effective resistance. When the tactics that we need to employ, the strategies that we have to use in order to erode, impact the pillars of support under the regime, when that has unintentional consequences for folks in our community, then we need to be able to organize and engage in mutual aid work so that we all take care of each other. The more we realize that that is the dynamic that has to exist, the more we start to embrace the reality that we all have to make sacrifices now, but that we should not put those sacrifices squarely on the shoulders of other folks without us stepping in to also give up a little bit in order to compensate, in order to support those folks who are being most impacted by whatever strategy we are using. The sooner we realize that dynamic, the sooner we are able to start carrying off things like big labor strikes. That's why, during the government shutdown, I was saying that we are learning how to take care of each other. I saw the most tremendous organizing all over the country to make sure that people got fed. As Donald Trump Mike Johnson were engaging in their terribly cruel, manipulative actions of withholding SNAP benefits from 42 million Americans in order to leverage their starvation to advance Trump's fascist agenda. Make no mistake, Donald Trump has been saying for the last couple of days that he wants to make significant changes to SNAP. He thinks there's too many people on it who shouldn't be on it. This is the Republican talking point, right? Outright lies from all kinds of Republicans all over the place, House, Senate, White House, state government, falsely claiming that it is like able-bodied young men who just sit around and drink soda and eat Doritos and play video games all day that get SNAP benefits. We know that that's a complete lie. Most people on SNAP are children, or they're the elderly, or they're disabled. It's a complete fabrication that it's young, able-bodied men who are like sucking up all of the SNAP money, right? It's another iteration of the welfare queen lie. You know who benefits most from SNAP money, from our tax dollars being used for SNAP? Walmart. $2.1 billion a month in SNAP money that Walmart gets. $750 million, I think, a month that Kroger gets. That's really where all of the money from SNAP goes. It goes into the pockets of corporations. Fortunately, when we look at eroding pillars of support under the regime, regular folks often end up working in those pillars. We saw it with the government shutdown. Federal employees who were having to be furloughed, they were not getting a paycheck. And you know what they said? Overwhelmingly, they said, we're willing to make this sacrifice for tens of millions of Americans who will lose their health care. Now, the surrender Dems, they absolutely rendered that sacrifice worthless on some level, but I don't want anybody to think that that sacrifice of our federal employees actually was entirely worthless. It demonstrated to everybody that we actually do have solidarity in this country. The working class, like, we are willing to make sacrifices for each other, for the future of this country. We have to not only risk it for a biscuit, right? Step out and do things that are risky and make us feel uncomfortable, might incur negative consequences for us, like people speaking out and losing their jobs, people being willing to get arrested. Not only that, but we also have to invest in the future of this country. We have to invest in future America. We are making sacrifices now so that we can bring about the future that we all need and deserve, the reforms that we need, quality of life that we should be having in the richest nation on earth. But when we saw those federal employees say, okay, we're willing to make this sacrifice for y'all, then the rest of us have to come around those people and support them. Part of eroding the pillars of support means that there will be negative consequences for people who work within those pillars or require services and benefits and programs in those pillars. So we have to engage in mutual aid. We have to figure out how to build the scaffolding, the infrastructure to be able to take care of each other while we engage in these large collective actions. It's not so much the bus boycott, it's the bake sale, right? So if you say, I'm not going to sacrifice small artists by doing the Spotify boycott or whatever, go buy their music, go to their concert, just throw some money at their Venmo. We all take on a little bit of risk and we all make small sacrifices. If you see somebody making a big sacrifice on behalf of democracy, on behalf of your children's future, on behalf of your liberty, then think like, how can I lessen the negative consequences that they're experiencing? How can I ease their burden a little bit? What sacrifice can I undertake in order to make their sacrifice not so difficult? How can we share each other's burdens? Because if we don't make sacrifices now, so much more will be forcibly taken away from us in the future by Donald Trump and the fascists.